Welcome back, guys. This is A1 Wired with their host Abdullah Mohammed and your co-host Rashid. And today we're going to be talking about the Miami Heat's team off season so far and exactly what they did and additions. So personally, for me, I'm not a Miami Heat fan. I rarely ever watch their games unless they're in the playoffs. So Rashid, you can take the role and talking about the team exactly, and you can go ahead name the team so far of the current roster.
All right, so they got Tyler Hero. They acquired Kyle Lowry. They still have Duncan Robinson, Victor Oladipo, who I'm interested to see what he's going to do this year. Max Saurus, I'm not aware of this guy. Jimmy Butler, KZ Koapa. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. They got Markeith Morris, PJ Tucker, Udonis Haslam, Bam, and they got Omar Yustavan. I think that's how you say his name. And then Dwayne Dedman. So it's the team that had the past couple of years with addition of those so-called culture players like Markeith Morris and PJ Tucker and Kyle Lowry. But we'll see how it goes. For me, I'm not really excited about this because being a Miami Heat fan, this is not like a roster that, gets us into contention. It gets us from, I guess, a lower playoff seed to I guess, maybe contending for the 3 or the 4 position, maybe make a deep playoff run, best case scenario, Eastern Conference Finals, worst case scenario, first round exit. It's just, I question why you throw that much money at all the aging players like Kyle Lowry. You're giving an extension to Jimmy Butler. I understand, I guess, it's for what he did 2 years ago and just like, I guess, bringing the culture back and making us more competitive and back in, I guess, the contention, even though a lot of people are saying 2 years ago was a fluke, bubble, Mickey Mouse championship. So that's my initial views is like I'm not really excited. So for me, I'd rather have a young, exciting team to watch and see them develop and grow versus, or you just sign those big names that take you from, was it mediocre to contention. I don't really like being in the middle. I don't see, was it what good it really does, but I guess the Miami Heat has built that culture, in which they pick up players and they always contend to win. They don't um they don't try to lose games to get high draft picks. They trade their draft picks. They're always doing something. They're always in the mix. They were one of the teams that's always looking to move players and trying. They always want to say they're one trade away from contention, but I don't know. I don't know what Pat Riley was thinking with this. Initially I understood Kyle Lowry. Maybe you get DeRozan with him, but you didn't get DeRozan. You just got stuck with an aging Kyle Lowry and then a whole bunch of culture players. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But overall, I'm not excited. They were not an exciting team to watch. Very hard to watch. I'm talking about low scoring, just difficult team, and we struggled and we weren't healthy. And Bam got figured out last year. Tyler Hero regressed. Jimmy Butler was inconsistent. So like, is those same players, and then you let people like Kendrick Nunn walk for nothing, It's like players that I genuinely liked. Some people would argue that he's better than Kyle. I mean, Tyler Hero. So those things really get at me. I'm not really, as a fan, disappointed. I guess from the media's perspective, they're staying relevant. And then like there seems to be this tendency, which if you've had success and your name holds weight, like people don't criticize you. They give you the benefit of the doubt. And that's what I feel like Pat Riley is getting. His last run at a championship, him and Mickey Arison, they got a couple years left. They're going all in. What does that mean? This team is not all in. I'm be honest with you. You paid an aging Lowry and then aging Butler. And I'm like, you had a chance to get James Harden last year. You banked on Tyler Hero. So like, there's a lot of things that if you didn't have that name, Pat Riley, you'd be getting criticized heavily. Like they'd be like, oh, what is he doing? He clearly doesn't have it anymore. His mind's going. He's 70. All those things would be said. But since he does have that championship mentality, he built it. And then people are like, oh, we respect it. Culture this, culture that. But I'm not a fan of mediocrity. And I feel like that's where we're headed.
Yeah, honestly, you had a lot to say. I'm be really honestly, besides being a fan, if you take a step back, that's my point of view. Is honestly, I'm not a big fan of Miami Heat. The last time I even enjoyed watching them was LeBron James. I know that's kind of bandwagony, and after that it was Deion Waiters. So beyond that, you did get Kyle Lowry. I feel like Kyle Lowry is a culture player, like you mentioned. He's a hardworking. He's a smaller stature point guard, like on the smaller end, but he does exactly what you want him to do. He facilitates. From like I can show you the stats from last season. From previous season, he averaged 17 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists. All around, he had a decent season. Standards for his quality of play, and from what I've seen, he's a great pickup. Teams wanted him. A lot of teams wanted him, and you guys were able to acquire him. So honestly, Victor Oladipo, I don't know if he's currently on the roster or not, but if he is, if he comes back healthy, and feel like your starting lineup can be Tyler Hero point guard, make him bring off the bench. Maybe you can start Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, Victor Oladipo as well. You have depth. This team has a lot of depth. One question mark I have is maybe he's already a smaller team because Bam is not exactly a tall center, but he's a very athletic center and very versatile and is very athletic. So it makes up a lot of it. But PJ Tucker having him is a question mark as well because you're gonna even go from. It reminds me like in the situation they had in the Rockets, where you already have a small lineup. Instead of just trading Click and Plano, you kept Bam, and now you're gonna play when he's not on the court. You're gonna be playing either Deadman's pretty good as well, a good backup point guard, a backup center. I apologize. But other than that, this team is pretty good. The whole goal of every offseason is to be better than the previous offseason. And from that objective alone, they did get better. And you can agree with that as well. So last year they
No, I
noticed.
definitely agree.
Yeah,
I definitely agree they did get better. For me, there's a lot of bright spots to look at, right? Tyler Hero's coming in to his third year, and that's when you generally know what a young player is and what he's not. So I'm excited to see what he does and what kind of player he is, because he had a good first season. He struggled his second season. We'll see what he's about the third season. Also, Victor Oladipo, he had some promising moments, opted out to take injury towards the end of the season, and I feel like he could have really helped us in that first round against the Bucks. But so like seeing him, we signed him to a 1-year deal just to see him come back if he stays, healthy. We do have a good lineup. Like I said, we're gonna contend in the weak East. Like I said, best case scenario, get that third seed. I really think that the way that the 76ers are set up their drama with Ben Simmons, I feel like we're the third best team in the East right now. Potentially, I feel like if things go well, could go to the Eastern Conference Finals. But for me, I'm like, what does that do? Like, I guess it's good, get people in seats, playoff games. But I don't know. We're just gonna have to see. But for me, I'm not too excited because I'd rather be contending or I'd rather be investing in young players. We have not drafted the past 3 years. Keep trading our draft picks. Keep going.
you did have Tyler Hero, so Tyler Hero is an addition to your team you got from the draft as well. I think it was the 11th pick. I think so.
I mean, that was what, 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. This is his third year.
Yeah, so last summer we didn't draft, and this summer we didn't draft.
I think you acquired
Like
anybody in the
yeah,
as well,
but
like
nothing significant,
No.
Considering we're
None of these players can go in, game in and out, and be a starter. The one player that I did enjoy that you guys decided to get rid of is Precious Achiuwa. That's kind of a loss on you guys. I feel like he was part of the James Harden trade as well. Him and Tyler Hero decided against that. I feel like that will come back against you guys. I don't know if it's possibly rumors or not. Same thing with the 76ers. Like the Nets, they committed to it, and that's how they got the player. It feels like you had that player, like James Harden caliber, with Jimmy Butler, because he does play point guard for the Nets. So that would have fit his team a lot better. Instead of wasting the money on Kyle Lowry, you could have got DeRozan or another player like that. Or even Dennis Schroeder would have been pretty nice if you had decided to offer him the $5 million that the Celtics offered. But other than that, for my rating, you guys, I'll give you guys like a 10 out of 10 or like a 9 out of 10 because Kyle Lowry was wanted by a lot of teams. That's the thing. He was wanted by
Yeah.
the Pelicans for 100% and also the
Mhm.
Celtics. So you guys weakening those other teams and also benefiting you guys. You didn't lose anything really beyond a couple of young players. But other than that, you did what you're supposed to. I'll give you guys like a
And
9 out
get
of
better.
10.
Yeah.
You did get better. Rating wise, you got better. And you guys are already committed to winning every season. So honestly, getting a better player every single season, even though it might not be a humongous difference, even though there might be an aging player, they're better than no players. You did not lose any value players. You replaced Kendrick Nunn for Kyle Lowry. And Kendrick Nunn is in the Lakers, so we're going to see how that goes out. He averaged 17 points, 7 assists, so he is a facilitator, Kyle Lowry. So I feel like you made your team all around a better team. So the potential seeding is probably the highest is third. They're in the second tier. The first tier is like the Bucks and the Nets, you know, and they're on the second tier with the same level with the 76ers and the Celtics as well. So they're on the
Boston
second
Celtics.
tier.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in the second tier, and you're not in the fourth tier at all like the other teams. Like Atlanta Hawks might be in the second tier as well, but you're still a better team than them because you have more veteran experience. Having these players you added makes you a more veteran team. So other than that, I can only say it's a really good season, off season for you guys. It's on the better end. There's no really losses for you guys. But what is your
For
you have any
me,
other thoughts?
I don't. For me, like, yeah, it's a good off season when in terms of thinking about this year, maybe next year. But I look at the long term deals you give to Jimmy Butler, paying him over 20 mil, like at the age of 36, 37. Like already when you see that he's a player based on athleticism, not so much skill in shooting. So that's not gonna age well. But then again, Miami Heat is known for getting rid of contracts that people are like, no way you could get rid of contracts like that. We got rid of Whiteside after that horrendous contract that we gave him. So like, I understand they're like, okay, I want to put myself in the best position to not lose ground of where I'm at. So I get it. For the next 2 years, it should be interesting. And like I said, there's always the trade deadline. There's always a team in the mix, ready to mix things up, not afraid to take chances. But like I said, if it works out, then the fans would be happy. Like for me, I'm coming from the fans' perspective, objectively looking at the team from the outside looking in. Yes, they did a really good job. I say 8.5, maybe even a 9 out of 10. And it's interesting to see. But for me, in terms of how I'm seeing the league progress, like I'd rather go for the big name like James Harden last year. You didn't do that, or be like, okay, let me be a lower playoff seed, but focus on player development because the Miami Heat is good at player development, but we keep missing out on these really good drafts and not drafting young players because we're choosing to be consistently anywhere from the 7th seed to the 5th seed, which is where you don't really get good draft picks. So I'm like, I see what you're doing. 2 more years, we'll see what happens. If you could get a trade, like I feel like the Kawhi Leonard injury really hurt our off-season chances. Because say if he was healthy and they lose,
You mean
then
Victor
there might be a
Oladipo?
potential. No, I'm talking about Kawhi Leonard, right? Because he was a free agent this year,
Yeah, he didn't
but he
really.
got
You
injured.
already spent the money because you already gave
Yeah,
the players the money. So Kawhi Leonard, I feel like no matter what, he did that in a way to shake it up. It feels like the same thing other players do, like LeBron James. That he just stays in
yeah.
those 1 year contracts just to make teams on their toes. But honestly, for them, they already secured themselves in that feature, and also with him in it, if they go backwards, they have to like trade all their players to acquire some picks to at least have some security. But honestly, the Heat did better than most teams did, and it feels like you got the player you wanted him from the beginning,
Yeah.
and honestly, there's still like players you could still trade for possibly. I don't know how many picks you guys have left. You guys can package up Tyler Hero and Kyle Lowry and send it to the Miami 76ers and trade for um, Ben Simmons. That can also spice up your team as well. Add a bit of youth in defense. You already got great shooting amongst the team I can see so far. Everything looks pretty good. But other than that, you just gotta hope that everybody stays healthy. People don't get COVID,
Yeah.
get sick. That's what I realized last season. You guys had a lot of like not injuries. Also, you came straight off of finals. So that took a toll. The two of the teams in the finals got knocked down the first round. How often did that happen? It just like, and it might be a coincidence. It might be a downfall because both of you guys' teams are aging. So like the younger teams that didn't get a lot of, like, the Bucks got eliminated pretty early on last season, the previous finals, like final playoffs, and also did the Suns. Suns didn't even participate. So they had all this time to recover. Now you guys have the exact same situation as they did. Have a lot of time in the summer to recover, focus, concentrate on the season above coming up soon. So I feel like you guys are in a great position. Same thing with the Lakers and other teams like that. You guys are in a great pole and position to get a higher seed. Also, betting players like Kyle Lowry, and hopefully Victor Oladipo gets better. I don't know. He could be possibly out for the rest of the year. I have no idea. You got a great defender in PJ Tucker. You see him in the finals, how he still has what he has, still kind of somewhat. He might take another step down, but he still have a great player in him. And great
I think for me, the key is more of, I guess, like in terms of PJ Tucker, the fact that he was a part of the championship team and the Bucks got weaker for not having him, So that's another benefit, is weakening your rivals. So like you're gonna see those guys, and signing PJ Tucker is gonna help you. Signing Markieff Morris is gonna help you, right? Defense and threes, that's what those guys bring, and grit and playoff experience. If you look at those guys, they've been on the contending teams for the past 7 years. It seems like every year they're on a team, this top contender, playing defense on some of the better players in the NBA. You saw what PJ Tucker did to, I guess, limit Kevin Durant last year. So in terms of that, I'm excited. But in terms of, like you said, your guards kind of lead the play, right? Those players, the Markieff Morrises, the PJ Tuckers, they really affect winning when you have that prolific playmaker that demands doubles, right? That just, you want him to go out and score 30. That's why I feel like if we would have got James Harden, like, you could talk about that what if. That's one what if they're gonna talk about forever. And I feel like that's something that's gonna haunt Tyler Hero if he doesn't live up to the hype.
I think he's done. I think Tyler Hero he's gonna be a squad player.
Yeah.
I feel like the hype got to him early. The playoff performances were decent. They're pretty. He had really bright moments, like any young player does. But it feels like he's in Miami. He went to the finals. Also, that he's in like Miami's a really big market. It's just like any other major city. So you're not a small market. So you have ability to attract certain players like Kyle Lowry. So he picked you over, I'll say, like, potentially a better project inside the Pelicans, where they do need like a Chris Paul mentorship type of situation with Zion Williams and Ingram. He decided to pick you guys over them because you have a more realistic project, like proven, went to the finals, and he also wants to go back to the finals. So he's pretty much ring chasing instead of trying to be like Chris Paul. He got traded. He chose his situation. Other than that, your team looks really good. You have to see how it goes. You solved one of your problems. You have a good point guard. You pretty much swapped out. What's his name again? The point guard you got traded? Dragic. Yeah, Dragic for.
Oh, Dragic. Yeah.
Yeah, you switched Dragic out for Kyle Lowry, and I think it's an upgrade. So as long as you're upgrading, as long as you're upgrading the areas that you are already weak in, that's great. The only thing that I knock you for is Chris Nunn. But it feels like you guys not gonna give him the money. You either had to pick Chris Nunn or Duncan Robinson, and of course, you already know shooting is more important. But other than that, you have any final thoughts? Are you going to stand with your position? They're going to be around like 5th seed to 7th seed?
I said best case scenario is going to be the 3rd seed, and I said worst case scenario, the 5, 6 seed. So yeah, I'm still with that prediction because it looks good on paper. Do these players mesh, right? Can Kyle Lowry go and make that famous body fat percentage that Miami's known for, right? He's a thicker guy. That's something I'm gonna be keeping an eye on. But so on paper, it looks good. It'll be interesting to see. There's a lot of players on there that I like. Culture players, they do seem to work in the system. It feels like there's a hierarchy there in Miami. They do things a certain way, and people don't really defect from that. So it's gonna be interesting. The East is weak, so stay healthy. And then they have the coaching to get past the Milwaukee. They've done it before, especially now that Milwaukee's gotten weaker. And anything can happen. So in terms of
slightly
that,
weaker, not too much. He wasn't a
yeah,
big
not
piece.
not too much, but still, I have faith in Eric Spoelstra is a good coach. And there's a lot of positives going for them. So I'm excited to see where that goes. But for me also as a fan, I've seen this play before, right? You go all in, it doesn't work out, you suffer for 4 years, right? Get the
Yeah.
Hassan Whiteside errors, and it is very difficult to come back from that. So that's what also scares me, is like, oh, okay, this team looks good now, right? Okay, one bad injury, this, that, the other, a trade, and then now you're stuck with aging players that you're overpaying, that nobody wants, that you can't get off your books. You don't have draft picks, and that's a real reality. And we've been there before. I'm talking about going, is it 11-31 just to go flip it and go 31-11. Stuff like that really confused me. I'm like, you literally could have gotten a top 5 pick, but you chose not to. So things like that really confuse me. But again, culture. I feel like Miami Heat likes getting praised, is that guy that takes pride in playing a video game at a higher difficulty, even though he doesn't win. And his excuses, oh, but I do it at the highest level, no excuses. If I win, I want to win at the highest, difficulty level. So I'm like, I get it, but at some point, like, if you're not winning, at the end of the day, that's what people remember, the fact that you didn't win. Nobody remembers that you almost won, or that you did it on the difficult level. You did it the hard way. So those are my concerns long term. But other than that, like you said, this season, 8 out of 5, 8.5 out of 10 in rating. Looking forward to it. Hopefully they got a lot more exciting than last year. They were awful, hard to watch. So I think they're going to get better.
Okay, that's a great note to end off of. And you guys can watch our other 2 videos about the Lakers and the Bulls. We're just focusing on teams right now in the offseason that have made good moves. We're not going to be focused on teams like the Celtics that just re-signed Enes Kanter. I don't see no point of reviewing that team, even though possibly we're going to do a video about Ben Simmons and his situation when the season starts, if he's still there, and review exactly where he plays with them, because he apparently did no call, no show, like a job, even though he's a paid employee. But it's just funny to hear stuff like that. But other than that, I appreciate you guys for watching, and sign off. Subscribe, like, and give us some comments and how you view it. Did you agree with us? Did you disagree with us? And we can go from there.